What up? So I've been getting a lot of questions how I set up my MIDI and my audio and my user template with my MPC Live 2. So I decided I'm going to do a quick breakdown and based off of how I run things. And if you have any questions, hop in the comments and I'll try and help you out. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so let's get started with the MPC. So I have a user template already set up and saved, so I don't have to do this every time, and that's what I'm going to open up for you and kind of explain my routing and everything that goes into how I create music. So let's open up that user template right now. Yeah, default sequence already ready to go, and I have a bunch of tracks set up and routed correctly based on my audio preferences and my MIDI. So track 1, I roll with drum sounds. These go out of outputs 1 and 2 of the MPC. Yeah, and just sample-based drums and everything like that. Track 2, I title it Samplecosm because this is all the samples that I wanted routed through my microcosm. So I have anything on this track goes out of the outputs 3 and 4 of the Akai MPC Live 2. So anything I want affected by that microcosm goes out separate from the drums and the other samples, so I can have separate control of the effects on there. And then moving on to all of our MIDI channels. So how I route my MIDI with my Akai MPC is I use this device by Retro Kits. So it's an RK006. So this is a USB bus powered 10 output to input MIDI hub essentially, and it has 1/8 inch to standard 5-pin MIDI cables that comes with it. So with that being said, it has 10 different outputs, which you can kind of see here in the MIDI port. So 1 through 10. So that way I can leave all of my synths just set to MIDI channel 1, so I don't have to remember all that stuff, and I just kind of know what's plugged into each port. And I'll cue that over on this other camera so you can kind of see where that's tucked away. So yeah, so my Moog, which is my Minitar, I have that going out of the Retro Kits output 1, and I can control all of that via the pads here. And, that's what I mainly use for my bass sounds. And then moving down one track, I have my Behringer Model D, and that's going out of the MIDI output 2 of the RK006. And like I said, that has some effects pedals on it right now, which we'll get into in a little bit. And just keep moving down. Now I got my Korg Minilog XD, output number 3. And then my Volca FM. And that's about it. The only other thing I have MIDI control over is I get down to my microcosm. I can select program changes here and select different presets without having to reach up, which is cool. And that's pretty much the bulk of it. Like I said, you can set up these MIDI channels or MIDI instruments on your Akai, and whether you have a MIDI hub or not, or if you're using just the 2 MIDI outs that are included with the Akai, just remember what MIDI channel you have it set on your analog or digital device, and make sure it matches up with your MIDI channel here. So if my Moog was set to MIDI channel 3, I would make sure that my MIDI channel on the MPC is set to 3 for that track. But the way I do it with the the MIDI hub, I can leave everything on channel 1 because it has its own separate output on that MIDI hub. And then last but not least, we can kind of talk about the audio routing as far as like my mixer and effects is concerned, which let's hop over there now. Okay, so now let's take a look at my rack mixer here. It's made by Rain. It's an SM82 stereo mixer. I grabbed this guy for free. Someone was just getting rid of it. And it has, 8 stereo channels and an effects send, which I thought worked out perfectly for what I was doing. So yeah, all of my synthesizers are routed through this, as well as the 2 separate stereo outputs from the MPC Live 2. I have level control, panning, as well as sends on each channel for my effects pedals that I use here, which currently I'm using a Boss DD3 and a JHS octave reverb, which is something I just picked up. And then the output of that mixer all goes into my SP404SX, and I simply use that for live effects, multi-effects. I really don't use any of the pads on that anymore. It's mainly just for triggering different effects, filter sweeps, and things like that, for performance-based coolness, if you will. So yeah, that Rain and this SP404 has a bit of noise to it, but that's lo-fi, right? So yeah, let's hop back over to the MPC, and we'll kind of just set up a quick loop jam and let you hear everything. Okay, I'm going to open up a project that I have some samples loaded into already, so we don't have to go through that whole process. If you don't know how to load samples onto your MPC Live 2, then hit up YouTube and find some other videos. There's plenty of them out there. So yeah, like track 1, always my drum sounds here. Outputs 1 and 2, so it's separate from anything I send to the microcosm or anything like that. I already have a drum loop kind of bounced down to a pad, so let's just get that triggered. And then we'll move on to the samples. These are routed to the microcosm, and I'll turn that on now. And I do have the microcosm Midi synced, so it's always, synced tempo-wise. And I can come down here and change presets right from the MPC Live 2. I kind of like the haze stuff that's going on here. And then let's hop back up and get some bass going. I always use my Moog. The Minitar has great bass sounds. We are in F sharp minor. Let me just get down to the right key octave. That's cool. Let's get that when it comes back around. Cool. And then let's just throw a Model D loop in there too. Let's change that octave again. I have the Model D sent to these 2 pedals over here right now. That's all being done by that Rain mixer. Let's see what we can do. Let's find something. But for this sake, let's just do something like that. Kind of messed up my, that auto quantize will sometimes, auto quantize can be your friend or your foe, so it depends. So let's try that again. If I could play it all the way through, that would be great. that down just a little bit. Yeah, whatever. For the sake of this demo, sure, cool. And then, like I said, everything is routed out of that rain into this SP404, so I can lo-fi stuff out, do a little filter sweep. Play with mutes at any point, so if I did want to mute that Model D, can mute that there. And there you have it. That's how I have my MPC set up. So probably will never touch this song again. I do like the piano samples, but yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I'll let you know. Yeah.